the topic today is the decentralizing home sharing with Jonathan Chou, the founder and CEO of BToken. Jonathan, are you there?
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me, Michelle. This
Hey,
is awesome.
awesome. Yeah, yeah. I met Jonathan in Vegas, and he's super cool. So I just wanted to chat with him a little bit about what he's doing. So I think BToken is kind of like Airbnb, but on the blockchain. So Jonathan, can you tell us your story?
Yeah, sure. So I first got interested in cryptocurrency in 2012, coming from a computer science background. It came up on my radar pretty quickly. And then from there, I gradually got more involved in the industry, probably from 2012 to 2015, just passively buying Bitcoin. And then from 2015 to 2017, started getting a lot more involved with a lot of really interesting projects coming up nonstop. And then in 2017, I finally decided that I was spending so much time in cryptocurrency that it made sense to leave my full-time job where I was at Uber before,
Mm-hmm.
being a tech lead at the security and fraud division, and
Oh,
going
cool.
full-time and starting BToken.
So what is
And yes, go ahead.
what is BToken?
Sure. So BToken is decentralized home sharing, or you can think of it as decentralized Airbnb. And I can talk about a little bit about why we're pretty passionate about it, if that's cool.
Yeah, sure. Why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, so I think working at Uber, one of the problems with the sharing economy is that the success of a network isn't really given to everybody. So you can imagine as an early contributor, let's say to Uber, you're like a Uber driver year one, and you're helping bootstrap this marketplace for the first time. And then Uber becomes really successful year seven, but you as a contributor aren't really getting rewarded for helping and participating in the network. Like you might be making $40 an hour year one, and now year seven, you're making like $20 an hour.
Hmm.
But then when you kind of tokenize an economy, so let's say, for example, for home sharing, this year one, you get like 100 B tokens. If the network is successful, then you could potentially share with the success of the network because 100 B tokens in year one could potentially get you more in year seven if the network is successful. So that's like one of the really interesting things about tokenizing and sharing economies, which
Hmm.
make it really powerful.
So I'm interested in hearing your story about, when do you come up with the idea and how did your team form? And when was the moment when you said, "Oh my God, we need to do this"?
Yeah, sure. So I think the idea of a decentralized Airbnb isn't new. I read about it in Berniski's book, Tapscott's book. A lot of people talk about it,
Hmm.
and even Vitalik himself often talks about a decentralized Uber, which would be a non-compete with my occupation at the time working at Uber.
Yep.
But so I think the sharing economy itself it makes a lot of sense, and the idea wasn't really novel, but I think executing it well was something that was more important at the time because talent is pretty scarce in blockchain. And then so I reached out to my personal network, just the people I thought who were the best at what they do, whether they work at like Google or they work at Facebook and Uber, and a lot more people than I thought were interested in actually building this idea and starting the company. So I think around August of 2017, we went full time on this and have been building it ever since.
Awesome. What what is your vision for BToken?
Yeah, I think one of the most interesting parts is to like no, people aren't really willing to give up their cryptocurrency for almost anything at this point. A lot of people I mean it's just the truth. Like they buy Bitcoin, they buy Ethereum, and the only thing they trade for is like other coins. It rarely goes back to the real world. And then the classic saying is that a lot of people they're really interested in experiences, and experiences is more important than money, or so the saying goes.
Yeah.
And so the hypothesis is that traveling and being able to stay in different places, that's one of the only ways that cryptocurrency can come back into the real world
Hmm.
for like the experience. And so that's why I'm really passionate about this because I want people to be using cryptocurrency for not just like trading for other coins, but also just for real utility in the real world.
You wanted to drive adoption, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is more of like a feasibility test, making sure that people can actually spend cryptocurrency in the real world, and I think this is like one of the first places to start.
And tell us about your team. Does your team have a mix of different people?
Yeah, sure. So I can tell you a little bit more about. So I already mentioned about myself before this. I was a tech lead at Uber,
Mm-hmm.
and my co-founder and CTO is a really big AI ML guy. So he was also my coworker at Uber,
Mm-hmm.
and he was a very early engineer at Bezo before Uber, which was acquired by LinkedIn. So really active in the AI ML space and tech in general. Um, our 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 COO and also co-founder, he was actually a lead engineer at Google and Amazon before, but being at a startup, you have to do a lot of things. So
Yeah.
so he's actually been stepping up to the role of operations, and it's been really awesome. And then our head of product, he comes from Facebook after being there for 7 years. So he worked at a variety of roles in Facebook because it was so early back then, and just managing that. And we have a team of about 12 full time right now.
Awesome, awesome, and your advisors are awesome, super awesome.
Oh yeah, and our advisors are super awesome. I could go on forever for them, but they're all super awesome. So I won't be biased in selecting any of them.
Okay. um, so what is that problem that you're trying to solve?
Yeah, so I think the first problem is the inequality of economies growing, but the contributors not getting rewarded properly, which I talked about a little bit before. And the
Okay.
second interesting part is just thinking about businesses from a decentralized standpoint, because you can imagine for a lot of these companies, they're very operations heavy or customer support heavy.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem with centralized customer support, and there's pros and cons to this, is that their interest is to protect the company. So you can imagine for Airbnb, if you call into a center, their first and foremost responsibility is to protect their employer, which is Airbnb. But if you think about it from a decentralized standpoint, then it could be like everyday people like you and me actually being the judge for if something goes wrong in a stay. So you go stay at a place and there's something wrong. Instead of calling a call center, you would present your case to like a team of decentralized judges who would then vote on the result of this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a lot of ways of tackling the same issues. You have to think about more from a decentralized standpoint. So it could be like the con is that there's no direct number to dial at the time,
Yeah.
but the pro is that the person reviewing the people reviewing the case don't have an obligation to B token or to specifically say like you can't get a refund or something like that.
So they're more neutral, right? So how do they get incentivized?
Yeah, so this is the classic crypto incentive problem, and for us, we incentivize our users by giving them B token to participate in the ecosystem, and then
Mm-hmm.
we have ways of getting B token. So whether that's we charge a convenience fee for people if they want to pay in Bitcoin or Ethereum, and we
Mm-hmm.
charge them like a little bit of a convenience fee instead of using B token, and then we're also licensing out some of our platforms for open source for other people to use, and then we charge a commission on that. So we have some inflows of B token that we then give to these judges and give to these people who participate in the ecosystem. So it goes like round and round. And ideally, a decentralized system, it like the input is given to the output, and it like bounces out and runs by itself eventually.
Okay, let's break this down. So I have a house and I want it to be on B token and I wanted to rent it out, right? So I do I enter into a contract? Some
Yeah.
smart contract?
So in the beginning, we're going to be bootstrapping it. So you send in all of your information, just similar to how you would register on any other site,
Uh-huh.
and then we verify it through our KYC, AML, and all of that, which could eventually just become like verifiable. But identity theft is like a real problem, so we're handling it manually for now.
Okay.
And then after that, you're approved onto a platform, and people can see your place very similar to other home sharing platforms. And the main difference is when you pay, you would be paying and sending it to a smart contract escrow, which would
Uh-huh.
hold your tokens, as opposed to like paying directly to a company. And then that smart contract escrow would then give the money to a host if there's no problem with the stay. And if there is a problem with the stay, then it would go into like an arbitration or judicial panel, which would then that decision would then propagate back to the escrow address, which would then move the funds accordingly.
Okay, and so we wanted to search for my house, then you could go to a B website, and then you'll find my house, and then you'll see reviews, right? Just like Airbnb.
Yeah, exactly. You can receive reviews as well. Everything is stored and like on the blockchain. So it's a little bit different in the fact that you can't modify any of the traces. It's always going to be like visible,
Okay.
like what reviews are left, and there's going to be hash left on the blockchain. But a
Okay.
lot of the user experience is going to be very, very similar because we want it to be user friendly.
Okay, awesome. So there are some differences from Airbnb, and the differences are, what are the advantages? Okay, so I hear neutral judges for arbitration, in the case of disputes. What happens if, the person doesn't show up, I guess? I mean, is there any refund process and some kind of dispute resolution? Would those be judged by the decentralized judges and people, or how does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it would still be eventually processed by these decentralized judges. Like, hey, my guest didn't show up, and here's proof of why, blah blah blah, and then the guest can also like put in their claim as well.
Okay.
And then right now we have the mechanism to actually also help out with the judicial panel right now because it's bootstrapped.
Hmm.
But eventually, ideally, they can make a decision by themselves.
Okay. Okay. So awesome. So it's like Airbnb. Are the fees lower?
Yeah, one of the main concepts of blockchain is you cut out the middleman. So for us, we actually ideally don't make any commission if you use B token, and we just charge a convenience fee if you use like other tokens, um, and we'll charge like a 1 to 2% convenience fee.
Hmm.
But for we eventually want to get to a point where we're not really taking any commission, and it just goes from the user to the because we also are token holders, so we're naturally already incentivized to grow the ecosystem.
Okay. And is there a beta version today?
Yeah, so we have a beta out. It's currently on the Ethereum testnet, and then we'll actually be launching a very soft launch. So we won't be making a really big marketing push in about 2 to 3 weeks, where it'll be live on the Ethereum mainnet, so people can actually book stays. Because right now it's all just like test tokens going around, and from there people can actually book stays, and we have a few hosts signed up already that will be demoing the platform.
Okay, cool. That sounds very awesome. And I wanted to talk a little bit about just really the fundamental of home sharing. Why is home sharing important? Do you think that people are beginning to trust each other even more? More so because of decentralization and the ICO, and the token economy, or do you think that trust stays the same as in the Airbnb generation?
I think I think any peer-to-peer network is already like a decentralized network. It just so happens that the peer-to-peer network has a middleman running it right now. So
Hmm.
I don't necessarily think that the trust will increase,
Hmm.
um, but I do think it's a way of redistributing the value. So it's like the peer-to-peer network already exists, like Uber, Airbnb. You can already interact with other people. There's just someone in the middle mediating. So
Hmm.
this will be the same thing, but with everyday people mediating as opposed to a company. So I
Hmm.
don't necessarily know if it's going to be more trustworthy, but I do think that the world is moving more towards a sharing economy where you just rent instead of buy. You use it when you need to, and then you don't have to hold on to it when you don't need it. And I think we'll continuously move into this in this direction as people become more open minded about sharing resources as a whole.
And then also, like, who do you envision using it? I mean, do you see Airbnb people using the B token platform to also host, their homes? I mean, I know of HomeAway, I know of like Airbnb, and then of course there's hotels, right? So I'm just trying to understand your market size and also your target audience.
Yeah, sure. So I think we have a pretty clear niche market. It's going to be the intersection of home sharing people like Airbnb and HomeAway, like you mentioned, and also crypto enthusiasts. So people who actually like and use cryptocurrency because it's going to be difficult to understand how cryptocurrency works at the very beginning. So it's kind of an intersection of those two markets. And I think at the beginning, the market is big enough to function, but maybe not really, really big. And then our hypothesis is that cryptocurrency will grow more mainstream. So the home sharing market is obviously growing at a pretty steady pace, and we assume that the cryptocurrency market will also grow at a relatively steady pace, and eventually the intersection of those two markets will become bigger. So right now we're trying to test it out with this niche market, and then we hope this niche market actually goes mainstream eventually.
Okay. That sounds really good. So there will be a convergence of both the crypto and also the sharing, home sharing, the more traditional. I mean, traditional is not a right word, but more Airbnb and home away audience. Who are your competitors now?
Yeah, so I think there are quite a few people who are trying to take a similar concept and also trying to execute it. I think we might be one of the only ones based in America, but some of the competition that is on our radar is like there's Blockchain. I think they're based out of Europe.
Uh-huh.
There's Crypto Cribs, which we've seen has a functional website and it's pretty cool. And there's a few others as well. Yeah, but I think those two are the ones that are on our radar.
Uh-huh.
For us, we think the space is big enough that we're not actively like competing against any of them really. We're just more so geared towards proving that home sharing and cryptocurrency actually work in the real world rather than like trying to take market sizes because market's still so new at this point.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what my thoughts towards that.
Okay, let's move into token economics. I know these finance people are really excited about this topic. So, what does your token economics look like?
Yeah, so we sold 30% of our tokens through pre-sale and ICO, and unfortunately our ICO is done at this point already. So the next part will have to be you have to acquire the tokens through post-ICO means.
Yeah.
But we raised $15 million by selling 30% of our tokens, and then we have a certain percentage for the company and a certain percentage for growing the ecosystems, like referral bonuses, new user sign-up bonuses, and incentivizing partners to sign on, and then we have a team allocation.
Okay, so how was your I think do you guys raise traditional VC money for seed?
No, so I bootstrapped the company. I funded it in the very beginning by myself. So I guess I was like technically the seed investor.
Okay.
But we do have we do currently have equity that eventually we'll probably look into getting traditional funding with, because for us now that we're done with the token sale and done with a lot of it actually comes down to running a real business again and doing the operational day to day. And I think traditional VCs are really good at growing and incubating companies from the beginning because they've done that hundreds of times. So definitely looking open to that exploration.
Okay, so let's just move back to your story a little bit. So you have this idea and you want to do home sharing on the blockchain, and you got a bunch of people together to build it, so you form a team, right? So then you're like, when do you begin like thinking about, oh my gosh, I'm gonna do an ICO because I might not, I don't know if I wanted to talk to VCs, right? So when do you have the idea that, okay, I'm gonna write a white paper, I'm gonna start building community, I'm gonna do a token sale?
Yeah, so being really active in the community from like 2015 to 2017, I actually participated in quite a few token sales, probably over 50 over the last 2 years.
Wow.
And just experiencing the same process over and over again. So I had a really good understanding from the buyer's perspective, but not really from actually running the token sale myself or with the team. And so I think even from the very beginning, we were thinking about doing a token sale because we were a cryptocurrency-based company.
Yep.
And if anything, we were probably more familiar with how a token sale would work than raising traditional money, because that's something that we haven't done before. So we sort of had the idea starting from June, July, and then we actually started implementing it around August and going full time. And from there, it was just really vetting the idea and sharing with all of our friends, like whatever pre-existing network I had in cryptocurrency, just sharing it with all of them. Like, hey, sorry, I almost slipped. hey, this is a home sharing decentralized, and it makes a lot of sense with sharing economy and blockchain. What do you think? And then just doing that like hundreds of times and trying to reach every single investor or community member as needed. And I think from August to December, just constantly building out the product and going to all these conferences and meetups and events and sharing with everyone like what we're up to. And then in December, we took our first like outside money, and from there, in December we raised $5 million in a private pre-sale, and then in January we raised $5 million in a public pre-sale, and then at the end of January we raised $5 million in ICO. So after that it was like pretty smooth. Every month we did a segment of about 5 mil.
What are some of the best practices that you see that you can share with the community? I mean, nothing confidential, but if someone is listening and they wanted to do an ICO right now, what are some best practices, just pros and cons that you would recommend?
Yeah, I would say definitely a token sale, especially if your idea is like from the ground up and really blockchain heavy. It's super interesting right now, and just a completely different way to fundraise, and also like it drives a lot of really interesting token economics. I would say first I would definitely try to talk to someone who's run an ICO. I think just having an advisor network of people who have co-founded other projects, it takes a lot of the mystery away. So you won't really fall into the same like pitfalls as just running it completely new by yourself. And I would say first just move really, really fast. The cryptocurrency community and landscape changes every week. I mean, it could just be that another country bans ICOs or a new Ethereum update comes up and everyone's super excited. So just staying really up to date and moving really, really, really quickly and just making the decisions and going along with it. And then just never forget how important community is. It's a network effect, and every like 100 people that you get into your Telegram channel or hear about it, they'll spread it to their friends, and soon before you know it, there'll be tens of thousands of people who know about your project and are really excited. And then I would say those two are the main things. Just moving really quickly, trying to check off all the boxes that your advisors are telling you, and then executing.
Okay, awesome. We have some questions from social media, and I will ask you those right now. So one is, when is it coming on exchanges? I guess those are all the questions.
Right. So I don't know if I can talk about that
Okay.
because that's pretty confidential. But I can say that you'll be able to move around your tokens at March 1st at the latest. So right now you can't transfer the tokens, but you could probably transfer to other people starting from March 1st.
Okay, awesome. And let's go back to B token. There's the subject of decentralizing home sharing. So what are your goals? Like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and then 15 years from now.
Wow, so I think that's a little bit far because even Ethereum has only been around for 2 years and Bitcoin has been around for less than a decade. So I would say I could probably talk in like 1 to 2 year goals.
Okay.
And so for the first year, what we're trying to do is we're trying to really grow out the business like every other business and really get the number of bookings up, get the number of hosts up, get the number of guests up, and running a lot of the operation in a budget efficient way so that we don't burn our capital too quickly. I would say that's the first step. And the second step is just continuously seeing what interesting opportunities that cryptocurrency has. So say, for example, right now we're focusing on supporting Bitcoin, Ethereum, and B token, but eventually we want to make it possible for all tokens to be able to swap on our platform. So we're looking into which DEXs or decentralized exchanges are really good for our platform, or we're looking into some stable coins because stable coins it will basically denominate to $1, so it'll be more easy for people to imagine, oh, this is a relatively stable currency as opposed to a volatile one. So looking into like integrating with certain stable coins to be like the USD equivalent of a cryptocurrency. So a lot of the cryptocurrency integrations are interesting for us as well. I would say those are the two main aspects, just running the business and then exploring what unique opportunities blockchain brings.
I wanted to talk a little bit about community, right? I think, you spoke a little bit about the importance of community, how you guys tell individually all your friends about the project. And then, of course, you grow your community. How do you think, that now that you raised your ICO, and then it seems like people are very passionate about the B token, and even when I was sharing about this chat, people still, they want to make sure that I record this, by the way, so they can listen to it. So how important is community in the decentralization economy?
Yeah, so our community are essentially cryptocurrency enthusiasts, and we measure it mostly by our Telegram, as well as like our Facebook and Twitter. But I think first and foremost, our Telegram. And these are people who are relatively fluent in how cryptocurrency works. They're able to understand the language, and they are our target audience. So for us, we continuously see their messages and see their feedback almost too quickly. It's a rapid pace. So that's kind of what we're focused on, supporting just everyone in our Telegram channel, making sure that they're able to use their B token for a place to stay. And so it's really cool that the community also happens to be the users that we're targeting.
Awesome. And can you also talk a little about your white paper? Do you guys? I know you guys have it and it's a public paper for investors. Do you guys plan to change it? Is it going to be like a living document all throughout development, or is it just for the token sale?
Yeah, so I think every month or so we'll make modifications to the white paper as we see if there are any really big changes. But I think right now the technical infrastructure that is described in the white paper, we're pretty much going with that, like step by step. I think one thing that might change more likely is a roadmap. So as estimates change, as if we move before schedule or we're delayed, we'll probably update the dates there. But I think the problem and the abstract, all of it is still really similar, and it's what we see now as the same as we saw a few months ago. But if anything changes that's significant, we'll definitely change the white paper.
Okay, awesome. And is there any topics? Well, actually, I do want to talk a little about the technology side. So of course, you have a GitHub, right? Um, so how's the technological team, the developers and the blockchain engineer, are they like putting in code pretty regularly? How do you guys schedule that?
Right. So how does our tech team work? So we currently have about 5 to 6 engineers, and then so it's separated in a few. So there's our CTO, who is more in charge of making sure all the drawings and technical diagrams and architecture are correct, but he also codes a lot because we're a startup.
Yep.
And then we have 2 to 3 full stack engineers, and they write front end code and back end code. So front end code is what the UI is that the user sees, and the back end code is what works and it plugs the logic together. And then we have 2 smart contract engineers, and they write all of the smart contract code that essentially makes the Ethereum network do certain things in a logical order.
Mm-hmm.
So all of them just constantly work and bring out new features step by step. It's very similar to a traditional startup, but the interesting part is we have smart contract engineers, which other traditional companies probably don't have.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I certainly see a lot of parallelism between a normal startup and a decentralized startup, and it just seems like tokens play a big part of it, right? And with tokens, comes the blockchain and also smart contracts. Um,
Yep, exactly.
so for your smart contracts, I assume that it's audited and you guys, prevent hackers and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, so we have a test suite, and the test suite essentially runs the test constantly against our smart contracts, and that tries to, the larger our test coverage is, the more vulnerabilities and scenarios we can cover. And additionally, for our token sale, we had 2 to 3 smart contract auditors. So one of the firms is called Open Zeppelin, and they're pretty reputable in the space. pretty detailed and pretty expensive. And then another one we use is Hosho, which is coming up as well. And so we use them to audit our token sale contract. And then now we're writing a test suite for ourselves as well.
Awesome. Um, so can you talk a little about um, just like how many conferences you went to, and a little bit about marketing, and just really the difference between marketing and community, right? Community is different from marketing, and I know that there's some overlap. Um, like, can you talk a little bit about that? Because I feel like the token sale is an acceleration, or a metaphor for the bigger operation of starting a company. And I think people may not understand the difference between community and marketing.
Yeah, I would say community marketing during the token sale process is very, very similar because one of the main goals of marketing, or I guess there are two. First is to build your community, and second is to drive investment. And it could be that you're driving the community to invest. So I would say the main goal of marketing is pretty much to build the community. A lot of, like, for example, a lot of the metrics that we use for how successful our marketing was is how many people in Telegram do we have, how many email signups do we have, how many people signed up for our token sale on the whitelist. So a lot of the conversion metrics are actually pretty much community driven, community metrics.
Mm-hmm.
So I can talk about what's effective. So first and foremost, I think just thinking like a token buyer and what channels they would use. So the top channels are like Medium, YouTube, Twitter, Reddit. I would say these four were really, really important for us. So constantly reaching out to influencers, and these people, they will review your project and say whether it's good or not. And it happens that these people, they have a lot of reach because a lot of people, they listen to, and similar to like radios and podcasts like this one, a lot of people listen, and a lot of people actually will say, oh, if this radio podcaster or this YouTuber says that this project is something they like, a lot of people will start to look at it. So I would say that's pretty organic marketing, but just reaching out to each influencer and telling them about it. Conferences are a great way to meet people because even though cryptocurrencies are all like trustless and decentralized, I think face-to-face is super important for building up that initial trust and rapport. And honestly, a lot of the investors are so busy because there's a lot of projects coming up that if you email them or if you like message them, they might not respond as quickly as if you see them face-to-face and go, hey, I should talk to you about this. So I think we attended at least 20 conferences, and just going to every conference and try to meet as many people as you can. I think it's super tiring. It's like networking.
Yeah.
But just meeting as many people as you can, and also it teaches you a lot about what other people are doing. So you kind of have a good idea of what the industry is moving towards. I would say definitely.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I thought it was kind of fun. Like, I met you at Coin Agenda, right, in Vegas. That was super fun.
Yeah, so super fun and super tiring. I think would be because a lot of the people in the community are very intelligent and just like constantly talking in intellectual debates and intellectual kind of or talking to investors. I think you really have to have that mental fortitude that you're not there to kind of relax and sleep. You're there to like meet every single person that you possibly can, because you just don't know who you'll meet and who's excited about your project and who will happen to really be able to help out your project or be excited about your project. So just like trying to meet people from a wide variety of spectrum, because you're looking for partnerships of all sorts, whether it's with other cryptocurrency companies or with other real world companies or meeting investors or meeting like influencers. There's like so many people you could possibly meet.
Yeah, I was there. I think I was there all day until 7:30, and I listened to every single ICO pitch. And then afterward, we're in front of the hotel and we're talking about B token. Whether that should be a business model or not. Why do we need a B token? Because we have Airbnb. I mean, and then other people like joined us, like just random people who just walked by who didn't even go to that conference. So it was very interesting.
Yeah. That's always interesting to have your project gossiped by others.
No, we're talking to Reese.
Yeah.
Reese is one of the advisor of the V token.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He's awesome too. So, is there anything that you wanted to mention? Is there any questions that I should have asked that I haven't already?
I think this is great. I think if people are interested, I definitely recommend they join our Telegram channel. We're always open to feedback or message me directly. My Telegram handle is JONBEE. And then otherwise, yeah, I'm looking forward to this ecosystem growing. Hopefully a lot of new technology is built on this new wave of cryptocurrency. So excited to see future developments. And super appreciative of you having us on this radio.
Yeah, so just two more questions. One is, what is one advice that you would like to provide to, the Stanford community and the community at large?
Yeah, I would say if you have any questions, if you're interested in doing anything, just feel free to message me directly on Telegram. I'm pretty responsive there, and I'll try to. There's definitely a lot of messages, but I try to definitely prioritize and respond to as many as I can. And otherwise, just go out to a lot of events and meet a lot of people. I think the community is still small enough that you can pretty much meet anyone in the community just going around. You can meet like the top people, or you can meet the others, like people just starting out, and the community is super small. So I think that's really cool.
Okay, that's awesome. And you guys have a website?
Yeah, so check us out at btoken.com, BEE, and then token. And yeah, that's our website with all the info on it.
All right, John, thank you for your time. I enjoy talking to you, and it's really been fun. I'm really excited about, your project. I've seen you pitch, I've met you on the floor, and I met your advisors as well. And, I'm really excited about the project. I'm hoping that it could really change the way that we share homes.
Yeah. Thank you again for having me. It's been an honor, and hopefully able to help out the community in any way that I can.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, later.
Bye.